John Healey, I'm not sure if you've had time yet to see this utterly bizarre AI, artificial intelligence-produced video of what... I mean, President Trump posted this on Truth Social, his social media platform, with no comment, but it looks like he wants golden statues of himself in Gaza and to turn it into Trump Gaza with hotels with his name emblazoned on them. Does that strike you as good taste?
I haven't the faintest idea of what you're talking about.
Well, OK, apologies
I haven't seen
then,
that
but
video.
The President, this is what the President of the United States is posting on his social media this morning. And I haven't the faintest idea what he was thinking when he posted it.
Well, surely what everyone should focus on is the fact we have the first stage still of the ceasefire intact, and the work going on now behind the scenes to try and make sure that can evolve into the second stage of the ceasefire and then something that is a longer-term peace process. That is something that we should all be concentrating on and giving our support to, as indeed that is what the UK government is doing, both publicly and privately, and have been doing in recent months. And I welcome the fact that this horrendous day for those Israeli families that will get the bodies of those hostages back is a further step in that peace process, and that for me is the important feature of Gaza today.
Minister, we appreciate that you haven't had a chance to see this video. The news has only just broken.
Oh, just wait till you see it.
But honestly, when you see it, I suspect we might have had difficulty talking to you because your jaw would probably still be on the pavement. I promise you, sir, we're not exaggerating this. It is a very, very strange piece of PR from the American president. And all right, you haven't seen it, but I just ask you this question. It begs the question, how do you deal with a man like this? How do you deal with the leader of the Western world who's posting the kind of videos that your teenager might put together in their bedroom?
You recognise that this is a president who likes to change the frame of reference, and sometimes that can bring steps forward. And so when you look at Ukraine, for instance, his pledge to end that war, his pledge to bring Putin to the negotiating table, not just into talks, his pledge to put pressure onto Putin to negotiate a durable peace, which only the US is powerful enough to do, is welcome, and we will work with that. And so when Keir Starmer goes to Washington and meets with President Trump tomorrow, he will be discussing the plan that Britain is leading preparations for, a point in which we may get an end to the fighting, in which security guarantees may be required. But he will also spell out to the President that we risk jeopardizing the peace the President wants if we forget about the current war. And so my job as Defence Secretary, and I've discussed this with my counterpart, the US Defence Secretary, and yesterday with the Defence Minister from Ukraine, is what we can do and what other European allies and other supporters of Ukraine can do to keep them in the fight for now, provide them with the military aid that they need to be in a position of strength.
Sorry, John Healey, I just wonder,
we don't choose to do that.
Yeah, we don't have very long with you, so I just want to ask what the video that you have not yet seen, and believe me, you will have seen it in the next hour, what the video suggests when it comes to Gaza and what the minerals deal suggests when it comes to Ukraine is that Donald Trump is a president who sees these conflicts perhaps as a business opportunity. And that is people's concern. Do you think there's legitimacy in that argument?
Look, economic interests are always part of national security interests and international diplomacy.
No, not economic interests for the country, but it looks like, in the case of the Gaza video, his personal business interests.
Well, look, you can keep asking me about a video I haven't seen, and I can't give you any sensible answer. You asked me about the minerals deal, the details of which between the US and Ukraine are beginning to emerge. If that is reinforcing the commitment of the US, the interests of the US president in securing the durable peace, the lasting peace that he has promised to deliver, then that's a good thing, because if we get an end to the fighting in Ukraine, it cannot be a period in which Russia simply reloads, regroups, and then reinvades, because if Putin prevails in Ukraine, the rest of Europe is less safe.
Right,
and that is why the UK, and I'm proud of the UK leadership, has been stepping up our support for Ukraine and marshalling other countries to do the same.
Well, then, would you agree with this proposition? That after just a few weeks in the White House for the second time, what we're seeing is a president who gets everything that he wants. Whatever he pushes for, through his extraordinary behaviour, ends up delivering. So he's got the minerals in Ukraine. We haven't seen the details of the deal that's going to be signed on Friday, we think, when Zelensky flies there. But he's got that. He's got this government's commitment to give a date in a couple of years' time to increase defence spending. What are you going to do? You must have game planned this with the Prime Minister before he leaves for Washington later. What are you going to do? What's he going to do if Trump says, I want a date on the 3% increase, and actually, I want 5%?
Well, let's be clear. The US has welcomed the Prime Minister's announcement yesterday. When I spoke to the Defence Secretary in the US yesterday to brief him on this, he reported that as a strong step from an enduring partner. Look, this is the biggest increase in defence spending in this country since the end of the Cold War. It's delivered 3 years before anyone thought we would honour that commitment. It was in our manifesto, and I was with Keir Starmer in April last year when he made that commitment. We were together at the Barrow submarine shipyard, recognising that the world has changed, recognising that we're in we face an era of fresh threats, that we've got to forge a new era for defence to make Britain more secure. We will do that, and this is a once-in-a-generation moment and an opportunity not just to increase defence spending, strengthen our armed forces, but also to boost the British industrial base. And we'll boost British jobs, British business, British technology with a long-term plan for our defence industry as well.
Well, you're right. You did in Barrow some time ago name the 2.5% figure, but you didn't put a date on it. And again, I put it to you, you've only put a date on it now because of Donald Trump.
Well, it's certainly true that Donald Trump and the challenge from America over the last 2 weeks has reinforced the importance and reinforced the imperative to do so. But this is a manifesto commitment that we as a party at the election to the British people made. We're honouring that early, and we will go further, because in the next Parliament we will raise funds for defence to 3%, and we'll do that partly because we have to meet the increasing threats that we face, but partly because other European countries need the example and the leadership set, and that's why the US has welcomed this move that the Prime Minister announced to the Commons yesterday.
At the same time, I'd just like to point out, Minister, at the same time as you've completely blown up your other manifesto commitment on increasing foreign aid spending. You said it makes a safer, more prosperous world, and if we cut foreign aid spending, Britain loses its influence. You can see where your priorities lie.
Minister, thank you for joining us this morning. And I recommend, as our cameras switch off, you switch on your iPhone and open that video. I would quite like to see your face once you've seen it. But, anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. We appreciate that it was tricky for you, having not seen that.